हेलो गाइस, गुड इवनिंग। वेलकम बैक टू योर चैनल ट्रेड टैक्टिक्स प्रो। आज हम क्विकली डिस्कस कर लेते हैं कैसी रही आज अपनी मार्केट, क्या अपने लेवल्स पे काम करते हुए दिखा मार्केट। और इस वीडियो में ये स्पेशल वीडियो है कंसिडरिंग कल फिन निफ्टी की एक्सपायरी है और आज कुछ अच्छे चेंजेस हुए हैं अक्रॉस ऑल द इंडेक्सेस, जो आपको कहीं ना कहीं कल एक अच्छी एक्सपायरी देखने को मिल सकती है फिन निफ्टी में। तो हम लोग क्विकली आज इस वीडियो में बैंक निफ्टी, निफ्टी और फिन निफ्टी की डिस्कशन कर लेते हैं और जो लेवल्स हमने कल प्लॉट किए थे उसको क्विकली एक बार 5 मिनट्स के टाइम फ्रेम पे चेक कर लेते हैं एज टू व्हाट हैपेंड इन द मार्केट टुडे। तो अगर आप देखोगे, हमने कल जो डिस्कशन की थी, बैंक निफ्टी इज स्टक इन दिस रेंज, राइट। ये चैनल में कंसोलिडेट कर रहा है एंड समवेयर टुडे द फर्स्ट कैंडल इटसेल्फ ब्रेक्स राइट थ्रू दैट ट्रेंड लाइन, बट लाइक वी डिस्कस्ड, समवेयर दिस ट्रेंड लाइन ब्रेक कुड बी अ ट्रैप मूव इन द बिगिनिंग। एंड अगर आप देखोगे, जैसे ही ये फर्स्ट कैंडल सेल ऑफ में कन्वर्ट हुई, इमीडिएटली उसी इंटेंसिटी से बाइंग कैंडल भी आई। विद इन 4 कैंडल्स वी वर ऑलमोस्ट अप टू द डे हाई, और डे हाई पे अगेन ट्रैप हुआ, ये ट्रेंड लाइन ब्रेक हुआ, यहाँ कंसोलिडेट हुआ एंड अगेन मार्केट ट्राइड रीचिंग द ट्रेंड लाइन। तो कहीं ना कहीं ये ट्रेंड लाइन एक इंपॉर्टेंट रेजिस्टेंस की तरह काम कर रहा है इस बार, बिकॉज वी हैव यू नो अटेम्प्टेड टू ब्रेक आउट ऑफ द ट्रेंड लाइन टुवर्ड्स द अपसाइड, लेकिन सक्सेसफुल नहीं था और वापस ट्रेंड लाइन के नीचे आए। So somewhere, Bank Nifty today has been in a range bound in this entire zone, right? Considering the first, 30 minutes candles. After that, Bank Nifty is just simply consolidating in this range. But from a structure perspective, there is one key thing that has formed today in Bank Nifty. If you look at the trend, the higher high and the higher low trend, that is somewhere today breached because of this move. Although we have not confirmed any closure below 45,600 like we discussed yesterday, but somewhere I feel this price action is indicating a downward trajectory. And ये ट्रेंड लाइन जो यहाँ पे फॉर्म हुई थी बेरिश, अभी थोड़ी वाइड होके यहाँ पे फॉर्म होते हुए दिख रही है आपको। सो couple of things to watch out for Bank Nifty tomorrow is mark these two zones. One is 45,890, so you can take it as 45,900 and 45,600. This two range will decide the direction of the market tomorrow. अगर कहीं ना कहीं हमें इस ट्रेंड लाइन के ऊपर मार्केट दिखता है, तो we could be in for a easy scalp of around 200 points on the upside, which could take us to 46,130 to 46,150. And similarly downside, I see a very very big potential to again test this low, right? So whenever a trend line or a trend is broken, market would try to come back to test that trend before a failure. However, बैंक निफ्टी में आज वो ट्रेंड ब्रेक हुआ, टेस्ट हुआ, ब्रेक हुआ, वापस लास्ट जो 30 मिनट्स की जो रेंज थी वो कंप्लीटली सेल ऑफ में आई, और कहीं ना कहीं ये ट्रेंड लाइन भी अभी एक्टिवेट हो चुका है। सो वॉच आउट फॉर दिस ट्रेंड लाइन टुमारो। ये मार्क कर लीजिए आप, यू कैन मार्क दिस फ्रॉम द डे हाई ऑफ this day, which is 2nd Feb, and you can draw a trend line marking these two candles right here, which happened towards the end period, 3 o'clock की जो candle बनी है आज, that will decide the direction of the market tomorrow. So from a structure perspective, I feel the banking sector is on the weaker side. We will discuss Nifty in a minute, but overall कल सिर्फ ये दो लेवल्स मार्क करके रखिए एंड यू कुड स्कैल्प ऑन द अपसाइड। ओवरऑल बैंक निफ्टी एक कंसोलिडेशन रेंज में है, लाइक वी एंटिसिपेटेड येस्टरडे। हमारी जो 500 पॉइंट्स की रेंज थी 46,300 से लेके 45,800 तक, वही रेंज में मार्केट ऑपरेट होते हुए दिखा। ऑन द अपसाइड वी ओनली वेंट अप टिल 46,000, सो 46,000 स्टिल रिमेन्स अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग रेजिस्टेंस। एंड ऑन अ डेली टाइम फ्रेम, अगर आप डेली टाइम फ्रेम, लेट्स रिमूव ऑल द ड्रॉइंग्स, कहीं ना कहीं आपको अगर ये स्ट्रक्चर दिखेगा, एज सुन एज दिस लो के नीचे जाएगा मार्केट, दिस स्ट्रक्चर इज वाइड, or the structure that I'm referring to is the higher high and higher low pattern will be somewhere missed, and we will start falling downwards towards the most important level, which could be as low as 45,117. But this only happens if we are able to break down the major level of 45,600. So somewhere 45,600 will play a very very important role tomorrow. And if we still want to confirm, I would advise just mark this trend line too. From a daily perspective, somewhere we tried breaching that level. However, we were unsuccessful to close below that trend line. So please mark this level on your chart now. This will be your important trend line for tomorrow. We will ignore the levels on top for now, because somewhere the range is shifting towards the downside, right? So as long as we are below this trend line, we are not looking for a long trades from here. Rather, we may be looking for a short scalp on the downside. And our targets, there are two targets for tomorrow for Bank Nifty. Firstly, this would be, a very very minimal target. As soon as 45,600 breaks, you may approach 45,300 with ease. Probably one or two candles might get you there. However, my advice is at 45,300, just try to book majority of your lots, right? Do not hold for a longer time in this range, because we've somewhere consolidated here. And it's a volatile zone, and each time, if you notice, this similar move has repeated here, right? So market was making higher high and higher low pattern here somewhere, and as soon as it broke out of this range, we saw a massive target towards the downside of the likes of 44,425. So somewhere this move is in the making once again, and the higher structure is also activated. So if you look at an hourly chart with the super trend marked, we are standing at an hourly super trend support. So if somewhere we are able to breach this level for tomorrow, कहीं ना कहीं अगर 45,669 के नीचे अगर हम स्लिप होते हैं, तो आपको इजीली 300 पॉइंट की स्कैल्प ऑन द डाउन साइड देखने को मिल सकती है. एंड यू कुड फर्दर, डिपेंडिंग ऑन द प्राइस एक्शन, यू कुड फर्दर स्लिप डाउन टू 45,100. Here I would kind of advise you to wait, watch for a price action before entering. If you have missed this rally tomorrow on the downside, please wait. Do not engage into a fresh sell from 45,000 onwards, because you may see the target, the risk to reward on to the higher side. But understand, each time the market has kind of consolidated in this range, so there are buyers who are interested in taking the market out. So somewhere tomorrow, if you find Bank Nifty at 45,100, my advice is plan for a small reversal, at least to come till this important demand zone previously, now which is a supply zone. So you could see Bank Nifty again climbing up till 45 680 levels before it further retraces down. So plan your trades very responsibly tomorrow. Today as well, if you notice, we've seen multiple stop losses that were captured. So market wanted to come up and then gradually went up, and market wanted to come down, again went up. So this volatility will not give you premium. Rather, you will this is more like an option seller kind of a moment. So if you're an option buyer, wait for a perfect entry, wait for perfect levels to before you trade, right? And somewhere this too will decide the direction of the market. But overall, looking at it from a global standpoint as well, if you notice, we will just refresh the world market. We are recording this at almost midnight, and 245 points is negative. And if you look at the Asian market, Nifty looks promising, it's positive, and the other markets are also on red. So pretty much there is a sell off in Nasdaq. However, apart from that, there is not a huge change in the other indexes, right? So keep a watch out, don't become all bearish. Trade on the levels. If you see a clear breakout with the 5-minute confirmation. So again, for the people who have missed out on a confirmation is a candle that breaks the level with another 5-minute follow-up candle. So somewhere, here, if you notice, we have a confirmation of the breakdown. Now, after the breakdown, what has happened is it has made a perfect retracement back to this level, testing this trend line, and then somewhere coming back down. Although this last 15-minute or a 5-minute buying does not signify the intent of the buyer. The trend is on the downside. So as soon as you see Bank Nifty breaching today's low, you could potentially enter for a short trade for the first levels of 45,600, and then followed by 45,300 and 45,000 respectively. So keep a watch out. You could see a big move tomorrow in Bank Nifty. But again, if we are speaking from a Bank Nifty on a bullish side, just in case if we go gap down at 45,600, you could see a buying formation here somewhere, and then again coming back towards this trend line. And upon confirmation of the price action on the trend line, you could decide whether to short the market once again to bring it down to 45,700, or you could wait to see if there is a bigger breakout, because somewhere the put buyers will be trapped, the call sellers will be trapped, igniting a perfect W. So there is a W formation above this level. So as soon as this decline breaks, so please mark this level 45,935 to 940 range on the upside. As soon as this breaks with the confirmation, you could go for a long trade, keeping a very minimal stop loss behind this trend line. All right, so this was with regards to Bank Nifty. I hope the levels are clear. So the range for Bank Nifty for tomorrow would be 45,325 to on the upsides. It's unknown, so I would request you to trail your stop losses as we go up. The first zone, which looks like a supply zone, would be 46,000 in itself. So 46,000, if we are able to break on the upside, we then have a bigger avenues to explore, because there are huge bunch of stop losses that are pending on top too. So currently market has a very 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 balanced stop losses on top and at the bottom. So it would be interesting to see if the market can actually slip down as well as climb up tomorrow. So you could see both sided moves, especially if there is a gap down of over 100 200 points. You may see a small buying coming in towards this trend line. So if a price action suggests you that a market is approaching here, try to break out, but again trying to close below this trend line, you could take a small stop loss here, and marking your target still here towards this demand zone after that. So keep a watch out for Bank Nifty tomorrow. Looks like a very very interesting place to be at from the levels perspective. And कहीं ना कहीं एक बड़ा मूव पेंडिंग है बैंक निफ्टी में. अगर आप आज की एनालिसिस करोगे तो बैंक निफ्टी हैज सिंपली स्टेड विद इन द फर्स्ट कैंडल रेंज. जो फर्स्ट कैंडल की रेंज है उसी कैंडल के अंदर अप डाउन करते हुए हमने डे क्लोज कर दी. So somewhere, if you are able to, if you want to know what the trend is for the market for tomorrow, you could simply use this, rather remove this. This is a bigger time frame. If you're a positional trader, anything below, any closing below 45,600 positionally, you can go for the targets of 45,000 at the very beginning. But please do not trade or short around 45,600, because the risk to reward, while seems to be 300 points, but because previously it was a resistance and now we are on top of it, it could act as a support and go way higher than you anticipated. If you notice, each time this demand zone has been retested from top, it has always acted as a support. So somewhere we have taken support multiple times on this level. So each time market approaches the support, it will try to bounce. But here, if you notice, once, twice, thrice, and this is the fourth time that we will be attempting to break down on that level. So the more times the support has been tested, the weaker it gets. So for all you know, this time if this trend line breaks down, so mark the low, so that you take a trend line from the low, and this trend line simple will decide the direction of the market on the downside. On the top, I would not be interested in buying unless this 44,000, sorry, 46,044 is breached on the upside, because that will again open another 300 point range for me on the upside. So from a risk to reward perspective, at this point, we are pretty much on the same range on the upside or downside. So 46,000 to 45,600 is the range where market could operate tomorrow, before giving us a clear indication where the market wants to head for the rest of the week. Right, and we'll quickly look at the most special index for tomorrow. That would be Nifty. A very 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 sharp fall today, after the gap up opening. And somewhere I feel that Nifty, sorry, the Nifty index is also looking weaker, just like Bank Nifty. So if you can mark this trend line from, I'll just remove this. So if you can mark the trend line from 17th Jan stop to the top of 23rd Jan, you will get a trend line which has tested as a resistance previously. It was a resistance here, resistance here, resistance here. However, after breaking out, it acted as a support multiple times, and somewhere this trend line has been approached today. So please watch out. As long as this trend line is the market is above this trend line, you may see moves on the downside. It could be in this way, right? It's moving down. However, these moves will kind of trap you into buying. So please watch out for these moves tomorrow. Nifty, because it's an expiry, you've seen what happened with mid cap Nifty today. One candle, and then it was just simply consolidating in a very very narrow range of 20 to 25 points. So that could happen in Nifty today, especially because there was a very big move today, over 100 points movement. So for all you know, you could see Nifty just trading between this level. And one important fact, I don't know if you've watched our previous videos, but if you haven't, please look at the Nifty, the previous week expiry that we discussed. I strictly mentioned that do not trade in this zone. And this zone is a consolidation zone. More the time Nifty is spending in this zone, the chances of it breaking higher are more higher compared to breaking it lower. If you see Nifty again, consolidating between 20,328 to 20,484. I understand it's a 150 point range, but this is a consolidation zone, and it will not make sense for an option buyer to trade in these levels. Even though there is 100 plus points, capturing them will be ridiculously difficult. And the reason why I tell you, now look at this, right? If you have entered here, okay, you exit here, and then just look at the moment. It's all over the place. Anywhere you enter, you are entering into a loss, unless you've entered at the right point, which is this break, right? If you've entered here, you are profitable. But somewhere this move, right, with this long wick, has actually tested your previous high in terms of the premium. So this move will decay your premium more. So rather wait for such a nice fall, than waiting for a consolidated fall. So tomorrow FinNifty, because it's an expiry, you could see a range bound momentum. But mark these two trend lines, you could see FinNifty slipping downwards in this range. So if you're finding FinNifty around this trend line once again tomorrow, around after it breaks down completely, you may see a resistance around the 20,340 to 325 mark, and you could continue to hold for the movement downwards. So you could see a downward consolidation, and if it breaks above this trend line, you could go in for a small bullish until 20,484. This would be your range for tomorrow for FinNifty. FinNifty looks bearish. Again, it's a lower low formation from the word go. So if you look at it, one low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and then lower low. So somewhere FinNifty could test this trend line tomorrow before attempting to hit this trend line. My advice would be given the different consolidation zones that have happened with FinNifty in the past around this trend line here, and acting as a resistance here and here. Right. So here somewhere FinNifty will try to take a support at least once before it retraces to this trend line, faces a rejection, and then breaks down. I would be interested in taking a trade in the second attempt than on a first attempt. So first attempt is always risky. You don't have a predetermined stop loss, because you will see one candle coming towards the trend line and breaching it. And if you see, there is a very very strong support at 2175. So somewhere if this trend line is approached tomorrow at any point in time, this 172 will act as a really really important support for tomorrow. If that is breached, we could be in for a really 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 high targets on the downside. We could even breach the 20,000 levels if we are going downside of 2165. So keep a watch on the levels for FinNifty. It looks really interesting. Again, it's a very narrow consolidation on the downside, so you could anticipate a bigger move on the upside if this trend line breaks out. But again, your targets are restricted, because as soon as it gets into the zone of consolidation, you will have a lot of volatility in terms of stop loss hunting, and the option sellers becoming interested in selling this range, right? So it's clear direction for them. If it breaks about 2478 or 486 to be precise, you could see a bigger targets on the top. So similar targets on the downside and top side, but somewhere this consolidation towards the downside is looking very very weak from FinNifty perspective. It is similar to what Bank Nifty has created. Bank Nifty at least has stabilized after the fall. However, somewhere FinNifty failed to do that, right? So it's a downward consolidation, while this is a sideways consolidation. So both Bank Nifty and FinNifty looks weak tomorrow. So please trade on levels, sell on a higher time frame rather than selling at the trend line. You will be trapped, and the risk to reward is not favorable around those levels. All right, and now we'll quickly discuss what happened with Nifty as well, what we discussed yesterday. So FinNifty हम लोगों ने ये डिस्कस किया था कि कहीं ना कहीं ये रेंज डिसाइड करेगा डायरेक्शन ऑफ द मार्केट. सो देर वॉज अ वेरी वेरी हेल्दी कंसोलिडेशन अराउंड दिस रेंज. एंड अगर आप आज की मूवमेंट देखोगे, first candle was a gap up opening above this trend line, and I told you specifically to mark this level 21,900 level. And as soon as it kind of gapped up over this, there was a first rejection candle that was formed. If I zoom in, you'll be able to see it better. So from 21,922 to directly support on this trend line. So if you're an option buyer, you will be smart enough to understand that this has acted as a support always. So one time entry is possible around this with a very very minimal stop loss. Look where your stop losses are, and that's the reason why I explicitly called out yesterday in our Nifty analysis, wherein if you get Nifty around this trend line from top, you should consider buying it with 1 or 2 point stop loss. And believe me, it was not even 1 or 2 point stop loss, and you saw the market rally to our next target, which was 21,967. Right? So somewhere you have to understand these aspects, and post that you saw consolidation. But overall the market looked very 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 choppy today, especially when it was stuck between 21,900 to 21,850 range. And once it broke down, now you'll see an interesting price action that has formed in Nifty. So although Bank Nifty and Fin Nifty look weak, but I find Nifty to be a little more bullish, and I see at a bigger time frame there is another trend line that has formed. And this was already marked on our charts. If you haven't watched our video on Nifty analysis, please do, so you know where your targets are, what are your entry points as a call buyer, what are your exit points as a call buyer. So you know both the ranges, so that you can deploy your strategies more efficiently, right? So somewhere, as we discussed, this is a very very important trend line and hasn't been tested since a long time. The last time we tested this trend line was 31st January, and now we are over a week past that trend line, and now we approach. So any trend line that is retested after a week, generally you see a repulsive force on the upside. So for all you know, this trend line could be a perfect buying opportunity. You have your stop losses predetermined here with this low, right? So you know what the day low is and what you should be expecting if this breaks out. So as soon as this trend line, the sharp selling what we saw on Feb 5th, you could use this trend line as a first entry point towards the top, right? And you could see an easy scalp going up to 21,850 before it tries to see if this trend line is still a support or a resistance. But in the first go, I would not attempt to take a sell position here, because if you notice, there is no confirmation of trend line being breached. Although we've gone below this level couple of times, there is no 5-minute follow-up candle that has crossed this level. So I would not be interested in selling at this range right here. Rather, I would look at taking the market from a bit higher, at least towards the 850 mark, before I see if this is actually a resistance or I can breach it and go higher to my next height. So for Nifty, I'm not super bullish, not I'm super bearish. You could see similar moves, about 80 to 120 points movement on the upside and downside together. Let's just look at a daily view as well as to what has formed on Nifty, so that you understand what I'm referring to. So if you look at it from a structure perspective, Nifty has been stuck in this channel, the V channel that we called. We'll just remove all the drawings so that you are able to witness. And now we'll draw a very fresh trend line here. So Nifty has always taken support on this trend line. So this trend line is really, really important area of interest for Nifty to go further higher than where it was. So Nifty right now is still not bearish. If you look at it, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher. This higher high wasn't formed. However, we did not, break this low either. So this was more of a trap move, and then again we breached. We made the all-time high, and then retraced back to the zone which was acting as a resistance. So somewhere you have to understand that from the index management perspective, the fall that actually initiated our drop to 21,000 levels is now acting as a support for Nifty. And I would not attempt to short Nifty until it's above 21,680 level, right? So I've called this out multiple times. 21,664 to 21,680 is the range that I will be looking at from an option buyer perspective to see the market going higher. But if it breaches below this level, I already know that my important trend line is breached, and now I have to consider that 21,680 may not hold as a support any longer. And somewhere this whole move on the upside was to gap fill. This entire move was to gap fill, and we will continue with the original trend that we discussed, which was the perfect M. Right, please remember this we have discussed in our previous discussions as well. So this was our anticipated move, at least till the level of filling the gap, right? So the gap filling is long due here. So if we are breaking 21,666 or 680 level, you could go in for a 21,400 level easily. You will not see any challenge with Nifty slipping to these levels. So there are massive targets on the downside, and this move will kind of decide the number of points that you have with on the downside. So please be prepared. Somewhere it looks very, very interesting on Nifty as well. We could see a pretty good consolidation around this range. Probably on a Wednesday, I'm thinking that 21,680 will be breached if we are below this trend line, and then triggering a complete downfall. So it will trigger a bunch of stop losses for all the buyers who have, already this buyer is almost wiped out, right? So his stop loss might have been somewhere here. The stop losses have gone diminished now. So if we break above this trend line, we are again in for a bullish trade, and we could see Nifty again climbing back at least to the level of 21,900 before it decides where to make its move. But if Nifty climbs above this trend line, I would look at a perfect retracement level like this for me to initiate a buy towards the top. I would not be interested if Nifty simply breaks above and keeps going, because there is no price action nor a structure. Rather, I would wait for this formation to take my entry with a very, very small stop loss down, just like what we discussed here, right? So whenever the market is breaching the trend line, trapping, there is a very big move on the upside that is triggered, because the sellers have gone aggressive, and somewhere some sellers have gone aggressive here too. So somewhere, this could trigger a bunch of different, moves on the upside, triggering all these stop losses which are there. So all in all, it's a very simple, range for Nifty tomorrow. Please watch out for 21,800 on top. If 21,800 is breached, we could simply, probably we may consolidate slowly on the upside and reach 21,900. Here is where I would exit my trade. But from an hourly, support perspective, if you look at it, we are perfectly standing at the super trend level. So the super trend suggests that we are at an hourly support trend, and somewhere 21,721 will decide the direction of the market if it has to slip. So your first targets, will be 21,500 and keep trailing downwards. You could see this, gap filling here as well, 29,400, another 100 points, and then keep scrolling down till you attain maximum. But overall, this structure of higher high, higher low will be diminished as soon as we break below the previous swing of 21,665. So this is what you have to remember, and most important aspect is you have to be very patient while you're entering a trade. You cannot become bullish or bearish because of one single candle. So if you notice, there was such a big candle of over, I would say, for 300 points. But did market sustain that? No. You've seen another 150 point retracement before it gave another 200 plus point candle. So overall, from a structure perspective, there is a small change in structure, from higher high, higher low pattern. But this range will decide the direction of the market. So still don't get bearish or bullish in all the indexes. My simple advice would be to trade on levels. Mark this range to begin off with. So the first range would be 21,813 to be precise, and on the downside, we will look at 21,725. So either of these levels breach, you know that your first scalp target at least is 70 to 80 points on the top, and the bottom as well, you may get a 50 to 60 points on the top. If we breach this 21,680 level, you know that you are going to retest the lows of the previous swings. All right. So I hope it's clear, easy, and समझ में आ रहा है. अगर कुछ और changes आते हैं, अगर कुछ और updates आते हैं, we will definitely, post it on the channel. But please mark these trend lines and the levels. It's going to really really be important and interesting tomorrow to see how Nifty shapes up. For all you know, we could consolidate in this range like we discussed. 21. We'll just go back to our previous charts. Just 1 minute here. I think we can just put reload and go to Nifty once again. Okay. Yeah. So from a structure, wider structure perspective, a daily closing below this trend line will actually, help us take a positional entry on the downside, right? So it has still not breached the low, so, or the trend line. So somewhere any potential closing below 21,680 level, you are in for a easy slip on the downside. So a v-shape recovery will convert into a v-shape fall. So you could see a very very nice move as such, right? You could see a very nice move as such, or alternatively, if it is taking a support, you could see market climbing higher as well. So the market is not oversold, not overbought, nor any of that. Again, we are not the judge to, decide where the market should head. Rather, if we are able to anticipate what our next move could be, and most importantly, what is our risk to reward if you're taking a trade, right? So if you're taking a downward trend here at the trend line, your stop loss is massive, right? Rather, I would short the market here for a level of trend line. But if this trend line and the support is breached as soon as this, I know that I have a smaller stop losses than such a huge stop loss. So please mark your levels on the chart. This believe it or no, the last 7 sessions that I've uploaded videos on, all the levels have worked perfectly, and somewhere you've gotten an opportunity for a perfect buying and a perfect sell off too. So if you haven't watched our previous videos, please try to take 5 to 10 minutes of your time just to quickly navigate through those levels. You may see some levels, added on, but predominantly we are in that range. So there's not a huge change that we've done to any of the levels. This trend line will definitely decide the market's direction tomorrow. So don't get bearish looking at Dow Jones or looking at any of the markets. And don't get bullish because gift nifty is positive. So don't have a view in mind beforehand. If you see these support and resistance breaking, you could head in that direction with a very small stop loss. And also I would like to remind you, I'm not SEBI registered nor your financial advisor. So in case if you're considering investing or in the market to trade, please make sure you consult your financial advisor before you uh, you know involve in this matter, because again, every day the markets are volatile, and we are at a time where we don't have a clear idea as to what the market direction is and where the market wants to head. On that note, I would like to conclude this analysis on Nifty, Fin Nifty, and Bank Nifty. I hope you have a great expiry on Fin Nifty tomorrow. I hope there is a very nice moves on the upside or on the downsides, depending on the levels. But whatever it is, I hope you are a profitable trader at the end of the day. Please do not overtrade. Please make sure your stop losses are in place. And while in profit, please trail your stop losses. Thank you. Have a good night.